Okay, this video is called How Come Young Men Don't Want to Marry. When I was young guy back in the 1970s and 80s, divorce was rare. And we always knew who was divorced because those kids would often have a house with no parent in the house, and that's where we would go to have parties. So it was, nice to have a friend with divorced parents because we could go have parties at their house. And that's where you could bring girls, to smoochy, kissy face and all that stuff. So I also looked at my parents and I saw that most of the joy in my father's life came from my mother. My father, in 40 years of knowing him, living with him, I'd known him a lot longer than that, but he never once picked up a phone to call anybody for a social reason. I never in my life saw him make a social phone call. Anytime we had guests at our house, it was because my mom had invited his friends to our house. And it was just programmed into me as a young man. Someday I'll get married, I'll support my family, my wife won't have to work unless she wants to. It was just automatic. I never even thought about it. That was, of course, that's what I would do and what a man would want to do. So nowadays, though, I often talk to medical students and other young men, and it's pretty routine. Most of them tell me, no way am I ever getting married. And I'll ask them why. And here's the kinds of things they say. Most marriages end in divorce. And usually it's the woman who wants the divorce. They said almost always, 80% of them, it's the woman who wants the divorce. Then the man has to give her money for nothing. The divorce system is not fair. It's designed to make women want to get divorces. They say if a woman had to give a man her house and pay his bills, she would see it the same way. The man's like made into a slave. He's like a divorce mule. It's a ripoff. And then other thing these young guys say is they say women nowadays are too promiscuous. They go on the internet, they meet random guys have sex with random guys. A lot of them have venereal disease, and it's impossible to meet a girl who's saved herself for marriage, who's a virgin. They say basically marriage is for chumps. And then they say, well, they would like to have kids, but it'll be with a girlfriend, not a wife. If the girlfriend, doesn't do her job in the relationship, they can break up with her without the expense and the hassle of a divorce. And of course, this is not good for kids. Kids benefit from the parents being married. It means more kids will be born out of wedlock. The kids do better with two parents in the house. The kids learn different things from the mother and the father. From my dad, I learned to love reading. My dad was a super hard worker, up early every morning, cranked out to work all day long, loved to discuss books. I developed that intellectual sense of that's what a man should do, read books and discuss them. With his brothers would come over and we'd all talk about books. My dad was an athlete, and that got me motivated to play sports and a sense of discipline and responsibility. From my mom, I learned all the social skills. She was very thoughtful and nice, made everybody feel welcome. She was really funny, always cracking jokes. My mom was like the funniest lady I ever met in my life. She was very Christian, very devout in religion, and I saw how it created all kinds of things that were good in her life. All these people, when they would meet me, they say, oh, I love your mother. Oh, I love your mother. Oh, I like your father, respect your father, but they loved my mother. And I would see, like, when we would have a family event or something, she would always go up to the lonely sort of wallflowers and make them welcome, and she'd introduce them to someone else they could talk to. Anyway, so how do you choose a wife? Well, it's not an easy thing to do. There's some obvious things, though. Stay away from Hot Betty. She's going to be entitled and spoiled. She's often stupid, lazy. She's more likely to cheat on you and lie to you. Stay away from Crazy Karen, so to speak. She's fun. Crazy girlfriend can be a lot of fun, a lot of laughs for a weekend, but if you marry her, she'll just ruin your life, and then the divorce lawyers will turn her against you and bankrupt you. Guys who married the crazy women end up regretting it. So if you're going to get married, who do you marry? Like a loyal Lucy, just pretty enough that you want to sleep with her, but not so pretty that there's a line of guys around the block that want to sleep with her. She's happy to have you. She's likely going to be more intelligent. Seek intelligence. It's a very underrated thing, but very useful thing in a relationship. She'll be more interesting to talk to. She'll be more competent in managing the kids in the house. But anyways, this is a modern thing, and I think society in general is kind of against men. And that's unfortunate. That kind of degenerates the entire society. But it's really shocking how young men, they really don't want to get married. And that's a new thing.